Yo, what internet? Simon Miller here, massively regretting my use of the word yo. Now, earlier in the week, a couple of days ago, if you're watching this day one, we did a little bit of a live stream. It was called something like 10 things not to do when you're trying to put on muscle. And I did this because loads of people always ask me about my advice on fitness, as I'm going to say for each of these. I have no qualifications. I've just been doing it for almost 20 years. Really love it, very passionate about it. And because people are interested, I wanted to find a way to get information across. I've decided this is the best way I want to do it. If you want to see me training or things like that, I'm just not going to do it. For many reasons, we've talked about it on other videos. And after we did that one, everybody was like, Simon, you got to talk about food next. What should I be eating? What should I not be eating? So I'm trying to make these as simple as possible. Lists work in that sense. So I'm just going to give you 10 sources of food that will absolutely help you. That wasn't a word. Absolutely help you put on muscle, hopefully, because you never know, everybody's body is different. Please subscribe. Let's go. Number 10, chicken. Right, so the way we're going to do this is we're going to go protein, carbs, fats, protein, carbs, fats, protein, carbs, fats, and then there's a special one for number one that will make you roll your eyes, but it's also very important. You need to do it. Chicken is one of the best sources of protein there is. It's really, really low in fat. It's really, really high in protein, and that's what you want. You're not going to be able to grow muscle if you're not eating protein, because that is essentially the building block for muscles. And again, I'm going to try and keep it as simple as possible, because personally, I'm not trying to act like, oh, you don't know, you're stupid. I don't mean like that at all. I think a lot of fitness stuff on the internet is too complicated, and really the process of putting on muscle from a educational point of view is quite easy, simple. It's, you know, trying to figure out what your body's going to do with the food, with the training, that's the hard bit. Now, the first question you're going to ask is, well, how much chicken should I be eating? And I can't answer that. I don't know. You could be a 300-pound guy, you could be a 200-pound guy, you could be, you know, a 6'2" lady with massive biceps. Everybody's going to need a different amount of protein. But if you're talking about when you're first starting off, the best thing to do is just add in a little bit of protein to your diet. Slowly up your calories, slowly up your macros. And when I say macros, what I mean is fats, carbohydrates, proteins. They're the three most important things. And just see what works. Now, you are going to have a relatively, especially if you're just starting out, you are going to have to increase and have a relatively high amount of protein going in. But don't go too crazy with it either. Like some people go, I'm going to have 400 grams of protein a day. You have to be a monster to take in 400 grams of protein a day. But I will caveat that by saying maybe it works for you. You know, I don't know. But try and remember that there's calories in everything. And calories basically means energy. So it all comes down to calories in versus calories out. So if you want to put on weight, make sure that you're in a calorie, what's the opposite of deficit? I can't remember now. Just make sure you're eating loads of calories. And if you want to lose weight, make sure you're in a calorie deficit, which basically means you're burning more calories off than you are taking in. But if you really don't know where to start, go and eat a bunch of chicken. Number 9, sweet potato. Now, everybody always goes, oh, why do bodybuilders eat sweet potatoes? And honestly, if you want to go for a normal potato, that's fine. Whatever works for you. I'm going to keep saying that's my catchphrase. Hashtag whatever works for you. I'm going to put that in the video down there. Probably won't. That's not good for tagging at all. But the reason I personally go for sweet potato is because I buy into this whole GI index. The GI index basically means if you have a low GI index food, it means it gets processed slowly in your digestive system in your body. And if you're high on the GI index scale, things get processed faster. Now, the reason I don't think anybody needs to worry about it massively is unless you're literally getting a potato, a white potato, and going, oh, your GI index is going to be massively, well, it's going to be offset by what else you're eating. So if you have some chicken, some potato, and some vegetables, all that stuff is also going to be processed. So you are going to have changed the GI index of whatever the carbohydrate of the food you're eating. So, you know, we're going to talk about rice later on. I'll wait for it. I'll explain it again. But sweet potato to me is just good because I get bored of potatoes really easily. Also, when I have a cheat meal, I like to have chips and it makes it more exciting. And honestly, I think half the battle is psychological. And a sweet potato just kind of feels different. It tastes really good and you can do loads of stuff with it, obviously. I mean, I keep the skin on because there's nutrients in there. I literally chop it up, I spray a little bit of olive oil on there, and I chuck it in the oven for about 30 to 35 minutes. But you can do that with a normal potato too. It's just a good carbohydrate source. It tastes really nice. And as you know, most bodybuilding / fitness / muscle diets are a little bit boring. So it's, you know, trying to find ways to spice those things up. That's why I plump for sweet potato. Number 8 is avocado. You know, it's in Rage right now, so you can get it wherever you want. All shops will have it. And it's just basically a good source of fats. I think an average avocado has about 15 to 20 grams of fat in it. But again, these are the good fats. These are the fats that are going to help your metabolism. These are the fats that are going to help you grow and be used as energy. We aren't talking about saturated fats that you really don't need ever, but they taste good, right? And that's why we eat them. So, you know, again, I don't have much avocado in a day. I have half an avocado in the morning and I have half an avocado before I go to bed with my meals. And we'll do another video when I go through specifically what I eat, but I think I'll do that as a live stream because I imagine there'll be some questions from people watching. But yeah, avocado is a really nice thing to have for breakfast too. You can throw it in a sandwich if you don't mind having wraps and things like that. It just kind of works. Like, it's a creamy fruit, and you know, if you get the right ripeness, which is always the challenge, it can be quite enjoyable, and that's why I'm an advocate for avocado. What a loser. Number 7, eggs. I mean, this one was blatantly obvious, right? Don't buy into this myth that the yolks are bad for you. It depends what you want to do, right? You can find a study that says they're awful for cholesterol, and you can find a study that says they're terrible for cholesterol. There have been times when I have been having, 6 whole eggs. This was a while ago, and I always, I check my cholesterol and stuff, and it was fine. So in terms of my life, I have never seen a problem. Although I do admit nowadays, I probably don't have any more than 2 egg yolks a day, but that's only because I'm getting my fats from elsewhere. And this is what ties into making you check your macros. You do need to track what you're eating to figure out how much protein, how much carbs, and how much fats do I need, and what does my overall calorie intake want to be. People do that as well. If you want to enter a deficit and you know you have to eat 2,000 calories, you can get 2,000 calories from pizza. If you're burning 2,500 calories, I mean, I wouldn't advise doing that, but it is a system you can use should you so wish. I mean, eggs to me, I really like eggs. I think they taste good, and I go crazy with the eggs, but they're relatively cheap. I mean, any kind of diet like this is never cheap because the cost just goes up. But you can do loads of stuff with them as well, and that's important. Obviously, you can scramble them, you can fry them. Don't worry too much about spraying a little bit of olive oil into a pan to scramble some eggs. Like, olive oil is good fats too. If you go absolutely crazy with it, and don't use sunflower oil or I can't even think of other oils now. But if you're using, virgin olive oil and using that, 1 calorie spray stuff, I don't think you need to worry about that too much. So yes, I'm a big fan of eggs. I like eggs a lot. Admittedly, I think you get about 6 grams of protein per egg. So you may need to smash out eggs. Not gonna lie, I have 6 in the morning, 6 in the evening. Sometimes I may have 8 in the morning. But again, if you're trying to construct your diet, or you just want a few more things to add into it, it's a thumbs up for eggs. Number 6, white or brown rice. Now, I've already explained this with the sweet potato stuff, but again, if you're having white rice because you prefer white rice, I know some people that don't like brown or wholemeal rice, that's okay. Just don't eat rice right out of a pot or a bowl or on a plate, whatever, because obviously it's high on the GI index, so it's going to absorb into your system faster, and maybe that's going to make you put on some fat, right? So I have white basmati rice because I think white basmati rice tastes really, really good, and I have it with chicken, and I have it with vegetables, and I probably have some kind of, either an avocado or some peanut butter to get my fats in. That's what I do. I really like the taste of rice, so that's easy. And look, you can find plenty of bodybuilders out there, or anyone that goes to the gym, that will literally just do, chicken, rice, veg, chicken, rice, veg, chicken, rice, veg. They just keep it nice and simple because it's easier. And it also means meal prep is the hardest thing in the world. It means on a Sunday night, you can cook basically 3 to 4 days worth of meals because you just cook up a bunch of rice, you cook up a bunch of chicken, vegetables, put them in pots and pans and Tupperware, put them in your fridge, and they're ready to go. But again, if you really, 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 really don't like brown rice and you want to have white rice, it's going to be okay. But I'll never have white pasta, for example, because I know when I once substituted in white pasta, I put on loads of fat. So I just took that for what it was. Okay, it's making me put on fat, and I switched back to whatever I switched back to at the time. So that's fine. If you want to do that, that's all good. Number 5, oily fish. Now, the only one I can think of right now, because I'm an idiot and I left all my notes over there, is salmon. But this is a really good way to not only get your omega-3 fats in, which are really important. We've talked about good fats on this video already, but it's also really, really high in protein. And there's a load of nutrients in fish as well. So it's kind of like a one-stop shop. Problem with fish is it is really expensive, and I know some people out there aren't a big fan of salmon. But I kind of use salmon. I probably have it, a couple of times a month. I just find it's nice to break up the monotony, even though I quite like my diet, but it can get monotonous. I basically, rely solely on chicken. I used to have beef, but I cut that out because, I'm trying to do what I can for the environment as well. I know you're rolling your eyes going, Simon, listen to what you're eating. You're not helping at all. But I wanted to make, even if it's a baby step. But yeah, I kind of use it as like a mini treat. I think it's really, really good for you. It is really, really good for you. And you could even sort of substitute in something like smoked salmon and have that with your eggs in the morning. And that's quite a nice meal, right? You go out to a restaurant and you'd have eggs and salmon and you'd feel all fancy. Again, ridiculously expensive, and it will make you want to cry, but it's there as an option. Number 4, oats or rice porridge. So rice porridge is basically cream of rice. If you Google any pro bodybuilder diet, they will have cream of rice at the start of the day. Obviously, oats will serve that purpose too. I just prefer cream of rice, and it ties into the conversation we've already had about the GI index. If you rather go for a low GI index food, then you should go for porridge. And the amazing thing about porridge, obviously, is it's really good for your heart, it's really good for cholesterol levels, and it's got loads of protein. I mean, rice porridge is literally just carbohydrates, but because I'm getting my protein from other sources, I'm not overly worried. Like I say, I just like it. And also, without wanting to go down this road, my gut has kind of betrayed me over these last 12 months. All these foods I used to eat now bloat me or give me a bit of an upset tummy. So now I'm trying to find alternatives, and as soon as I found rice porridge, it was gold. There are places online where you can buy a cream of rice porridge in like big tubs. Don't import it from America, you don't need to. But even if you don't want to do that, like Sainsbury's have, they're called rice flakes, and I bought some rice flakes off Amazon before. I've got them in these sort of big packs, and they weren't that expensive at all. No, maybe sort of a pound or more so than oats, but again, because it helped my tummy, I was like, I don't care. Don't know why I'm using the word tummy. I'm 7 years old. But yeah, just pick whichever one you want. I mean, it's a really good way to start the day, especially if you go with oats. I mean, if you're not an oats eater, I would probably lean towards that one because it's going to fill you up. Again, great source of carbohydrates, and you can use it for energy throughout the day. Plus, you can do loads of stuff with oats. You can throw some blueberries in there. Blueberries are a really good antioxidant, and that's going to help you in the gym too. So again, superfood. Number 3, a whey protein or an alternative. This one is obvious, and I imagine if you are in the gym, you have already bought a whey protein. Some of you will like isolate whey protein. Some of you will go with the My Protein stuff, which everyone will say, oh, it's terrible for you. Just, again, balance it off with everything else you're eating. Find out what its macronutrients are, what the calories are, and make sure that fits into your diet. Yes, an isolate one will get rid of carbs and fat, but even a My Protein one's got like 3 grams of carbs and probably 2 grams of fat. It doesn't really matter. And essentially, the hardest thing about bodybuilding and lifting weights and everything, well, one of the hardest things, is the financial side, as we've already mentioned a couple of times. And if you can find any way to offset that cost, you certainly should. The reason I mention alternative as well is, again, whey protein has kind of turned on me. Most devastating thing ever. I was on whey protein before you could even buy it online. People looked to you like you were buying cocaine when you tried to buy whey protein. Now you can walk into Marks and Spencer's to buy a grenade bar, and I can't eat whey protein because it makes me bloat. Like, it's unbelievable. So as disgusting as it sounds, I now have egg white protein powder. Some people don't get on with this for the reasons you can imagine. It gives you gas and wind. I don't get that though. I process it really easily and I get no side effects. So I've gone with that. Again, it is more expensive than whey protein. There's beef protein too, which I've tried. You got to have the right stomach for that one. It's not that it does taste like you're drinking beef, as you would think. But there's other ones. I mean, there's vegan protein as well, which again I can't take, unfortunately. I wanted to switch to vegan protein to try and be better to the world, but it was responsible for some serious health issues that I got into, so that crossed off the line as well. But make sure you have one. If nothing else, make sure you're drinking 50 grams of protein or working out for your body type as soon as you finish training. You need to get that fast-acting protein in your system. And of course, whey will be the best. Others will take longer to digest, but you know, we're talking fine margins here. The key is find what works for you, find which one you like the taste of, and then just put it in. Number 2, nuts or peanut butter. Everybody likes snacking. We all want to snack throughout the day. Nothing wrong with grabbing an apple or a piece of fruit or something like that. Again, that does have fructose in it, which is natural occurring sugars, so it is going to send your carbohydrates up. So if you don't want to do that, you can go for nuts. Also quite high in carbs, but obviously the most important thing about them is that they're really, really good sources of fat. So you should, go nuts at it. Funny, didn't mean to say that. I'm an absolute geek. I go for peanut butter. Again, you've got to be careful with it because it's super calorific, and there's a reason it tastes nice. It's butter, but I just make sure it fits into my, my daily intake. And again, it is good for you. You're going to get all those right kind of fats. It's different from avocado. And there's a reason they put peanut butter in ice cream and desserts because, it's 2 thumbs up. So you can make that work. And again, it's a nice way to get maybe a mini treat if you are not necessarily struggling throughout the week, but if you really like it. Like I'm going to have a meal in 5-10 minutes, which is going to be rice, chicken, and vegetables. And because I know I've got that bit of peanut butter on the side, I'm excited. It's like chicken satay. And as far as I know, everybody loves chicken satay. Number 1, vegetables. I know, that sounds like the most boring answer ever. But the one thing I find when I do talk to people is they don't eat enough vegetables. It can be whatever you want. I go for greens. Obviously, stuff like carrots and sweet corn is going to be higher in sugar content, but you do whatever the hell you want. It's not like it's going to ruin you unless you're having 3,000 calories worth. I have kale. I have spinach. I have broccoli. Sometimes I have green beans. you can't overstate how important vegetables are because, again, they're full of nutrients. You can kind of use them to fill you up if you are dieting down. Like, if you have a good couple of handfuls of spinach, the amount of fiber in that is definitely going to fill you up. And so you're not going to be as hungry, which is going to help you if you are dieting down. But yeah, just make sure you're getting a load of vegetables in. You absolutely need to do it. It's going to help every single part of your muscle growing journey. And too many people focus on proteins, carbs, and fats, which you have to do, but they forget vegetables. Try and have vegetables with every meal. I literally have vegetables with every meal. I'm not saying I'm great. I'm just saying I always try and get them in. And you can even buy vegetable tablets. What are they called? I think they're actually called greens. So even if you don't want to eat them, you can just take tablets and, get it in that way. But make sure you're doing that. I promise you, as soon as you do, much like the antioxidant effect of blueberries that I've already discussed, they just help you in so many different ways. I'm always going to be behind them. And that is that. That's my 10 food sources. I'm going to keep doing these videos such as this, but if you have any feedback, there's a comment section. Please let me know. I do have a Patreon, patreon.com/Simon316, because this stuff takes time and you've got to finance it. I doubt this video is going to do 100,000 views plus, but that's okay. If nothing else, if you don't want to do any of that, just hit the subscribe button. I would appreciate it. I'll see you soon.